welcome to Michigan 102. My name is Skylar and I work for UM-ETC. So I'm a theater person and I really love verbal feedback or visual feedback. So if you could give me snaps or a loud yes, that would be great. Does that sound good? Yes. So wonderful, so excited. It's early, but we're gonna have a great time today. Okay, so to get us started, how many of you enjoyed the show last night? Wonderful, great. What are some things that stuck with you? What's some things you remembered that you liked? The beard? Roommate contract, yeah, that's a great sketch. I love that one. What's another one? Keem, just Keem in general? Yeah, we love Keem. He's here with us today, so that's gonna be great. What's another thing? The splits, is that what someone said? Yeah, that was so cool. Joe is the coolest person I've ever met. Yeah, okay, tell me another thing. What's one more thing you liked? Or that stuck with you? Yeah.
Even though two roommates can be like completely different, like if you talk about things with each other and you learn to, you'll be able to learn to see eye to eye.
Absolutely. Awesome. Great. Love it. Well, okay, I'm really glad you all enjoyed the show. We've got some members of ETC back with us today, so it's going to be really fun. All right, so let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about collaboration and teamwork in a global community. So, by a show of hands, how many of you have worked on a team before? All of you. Wonderful. Great. So that's good. At U of M, we place a lot of emphasis on teamwork as well, so you'll be doing a lot of team projects here as well. So, by another show of hands, how many of you would say that working on a team is your absolute favorite way to work ever? One hand. Oh, 2, 3, amazing. This is normal. Every time we ask these groups, we usually get 2 or 3 hands. We ask staff members, and we usually get 2 or 3 hands, right? Usually when we think about teamwork, I think about something like this. Snaps if you relate to this. Definitely, right? So what I want to do is take a few minutes and talk about this. So I want you to turn to the person next to you and talk about 2 things. One, talk about your best teamwork experience, if you've had one. And next, I want you to talk about your worst teamwork experience. Again, if you've had one. I'll give you a few minutes, and then we'll share out to the large group. Go ahead. I want to hear some things you talked about. What are some challenges working in a team?
Division of labor.
Division of labor. Yeah, for sure. I feel like it always seems like there's that one part that nobody wants to do, and someone's got to do it. Yeah. What's another challenge? Did you say people over here? People, yeah, absolutely. Working with people that you maybe don't get along with, working with friends, that's hard too. Yeah.
Like picking out an idea that works for everybody.
Definitely, yeah. Getting everyone to have the same vision of the project, right? Go for it. Yeah. Yeah.
Trusting people.
Trusting people, yeah, definitely. That's a big thing. Yeah.
Sometimes the work that people do are to different standards than your own.
Absolutely, right? Yeah, I totally agree with that. Or different timelines of working. Yeah.
If you're like the leader in the group or something, deciding whose characteristics work with each job best.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, that's a big challenge. What's another challenge working in a team? Yeah.
Just being open to like other ways of doing whatever it is that you're doing. Someone else might have a better way.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely. Maybe like letting our egos, to the side and taking in all the ideas. Yeah, absolutely. That's a big challenge. Tell me one more thing. Yeah.
Making sure everybody gets a chance to like speak their ideas, because sometimes you get someone who's really passionate, but they don't let other people get their word in. So you gotta make sure everybody gets a chance to speak their ideas.
Definitely, that's great. Yeah, that's a great one. So we're all here at U of M. By a show of hands, how many of you would say that you've been in a project where you felt like you did more than your fair share of work? Okay, great. Now, on the flip side, how many of you have been in a project where you thought maybe you got away with doing a little bit less? You got in, you can admit it. Yeah, absolutely. That's a big thing, right? Great. So we know that working in teams is challenging. We know we've had to do it a lot before, and we're going to have to keep doing it here at U of M. Why is it important, right? Why are we spending an hour at orientation talking about teamwork? Well, it turns out that being able to work successfully in a group project is really important to your success here at U of M. So right here, this is an outline. It's a list of goals for our undergraduate students. Some of this might seem pretty obvious, right? Like applying knowledge and skills in new settings, or the ability to communicate effectively. But what we want to emphasize here is that we want U of M students to be able to go above and beyond these academic goals. So when you leave the university, we want you to have a better understanding of the world around you. We want you to be more culturally aware. And we're not expecting you to acquire that overnight. We're not expecting you to leave this session and be experts on communicating with anyone. But what we want to do today is get the ball rolling and get the dialogue started. You with me? Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so research shows that working in teams is a lot more effective than working individually because it brings more perspectives and ideas to the table. So back in high school, it may have been okay to work on projects by ourselves or work on projects with people that thought similarly to us. But now here, we're coming to the university and we're ramping things up a little bit. We're starting to work on these problems that have global implications. So these big, beautiful brains that got us into U of M might not be enough on their own anymore. So what we want to do is get as many beautiful brains around the table to start working on these complex, globally implicated problems. Are you with me? Yeah? Great. Okay, so you're going to be living and working with people from all 50 states, from 140 different countries, and it's really crucial to your success here at the university to be able to work successfully with all of them. So, another thing we want to do at the university is prepare you for life outside the university as well. By a show of hands, how many of you have started thinking about what you want to do post-grad? I know college hasn't even started yet. Yeah, absolutely. When I was at orientation, I was thinking stuff like that too. So this right here is a survey. It's from 2015. It's from all the national employers, and these are the top 5 skills that employers look for in college graduates. And time and again, they have said they look for the ability to work in a team structure above all else. So this teamwork isn't going anywhere, right? At the university, we want to give you those plus factors and that edge for when you graduate as well. So what we're going to do next is we're going to watch a sketch by UMETC of a group that I don't think is working very well together. But there are a couple things that I want you to keep in mind before we start. First, is that yesterday the actors were using their real names because they were portraying themselves or a version of themselves on stage. Today we're going to be using character names because we're taking a lot of different U of M perspectives and stories and we're trying to represent that here. The other thing that I just want you to keep in mind is that this group is a hot mess. So I don't want you to look at it and think every group that I work in is going to be a terrible, terrible experience ever. It probably won't be. But what we're doing here is we're taking a lot of different U of M stories and we're trying to represent that here and use theater as a jumping off point. So I'm going to step into the role of professor and read the first line and get us started. All right, class, now that you have your assignments, go ahead and get with your assigned team members.
Yeah, group work. All right. Cha-cha-cha. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Yeah.
Oh, hey, are you Marcus?
Yep, that's me.
Oh, I'm Michelle. We must be teammates.
Great.
So, what's this article you got here?
Oh, what's the one the professor assigned us last week?
Oh yeah, what'd you think of it?
Oh, I'm sorry, there's no time for me to walk you through it if you haven't read it already, so.
Oh, I never said that I hadn't.
Oh,
No,
I just assumed.
Hey, I guess I'm part of your team.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great. Hi, I'm Michelle.
Sean.
Hi, Sean. Marcus.
So, Sean, this project seems pretty great, right?
Yeah, I'm excited.
It'll probably be a piece of cake for you, huh?
Well, I don't know about piece of cake, but
Oh, come on, you know.
Hey y'all.
Hey, Rachel.
oh my gosh, Sean, I can help you.
Oh, thanks. I got it though.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Sorry I'm late, guys. Just wanted to finish like one more episode of Game of Thrones, you know?
Oh, don't worry about it at all, girl.
Yeah, no big deal.
Do you need anything? I have an extra copy of the project description if you forgot yours.
Oh, no, I've got one.
Do you need a pencil?
I'm all good. I can hear you just fine, by the way.
So, is this everyone?
I think we're just waiting on that Nathan guy, I think.
Oh, is that the guy who sits in the back eating his lunch during class?
Yep.
You know, maybe we should just get started. I mean, if you can't take it seriously enough to be here on time, then I don't know what to tell you guys.
I was late.
Well, yeah, but
So, where should we start?
well, I don't. Where do you want to start?
Hey, what's up? Sorry I'm late.
You're late.
Seriously, chill. Oh, hey, Michelle.
Hello, Nathan.
How you doing?
Fine.
I like it when you put your hair back like that.
Okay.
So, how do we want to split
Well, I think what I should do is crank out a needs assessment for the school we'll be working with that way.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I mean, it seems like something that has a lot of parts to it. It doesn't seem like something one person should just crank out.
I can catch you up later if you don't understand it.
No, it's not about understanding it. I just think we should all discuss it.
But that'll take a lot of time, and I'm already feeling stressed.
Yeah, but don't you think we
Well,
should?
okay, let's not fight.
Actually, before we go too far, I was wondering if we could just go over the project again real quick.
Let's get going on this.
Why don't we read through the project description?
Well, some of us have already read it, so...
Yeah, well, maybe we should just listen to this dude. He seems like he knows what he's doing.
Okay.
Does anyone have another copy of the project? I can't seem to find
Oh,
mine.
dude, Nathan, what did trees ever do to you? Why don't you just get a laptop, dude?
Nathan, I have an extra copy.
So we're supposed to use community input, population data, and the information from our professor to propose a use for a vacant lot outside a Detroit middle school. It sounds like a lot.
Oh, actually, I did this project in high school. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, but this isn't high school. You can't just throw something together.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we could have fun with it. I'd be fine with a B or something if it was for
A
good
B is
experience.
not an option. If you don't take this seriously, then just forget it, okay?
Okay.
Why don't we just do the best we can? We have to make a proposal to show to the class in 2 weeks, so how about we
Let's
plan...
get working on this.
Yeah, I gotta go pretty soon.
Of course you do.
Okay, but I think we should plan out, like...
Rachel's right. Here's a plan. It looks like we need to do some more analysis on population data. I wanted to get more experience with that, so I'll just tackle that.
I don't know. Maybe we should let someone else handle it. I mean, we don't want to mess that part up. It's gotta be good.
Yeah, but isn't the point of doing this project...
Okay, so Sean can handle the data.
Okay, but I've never done any data work.
I'll handle doing research into the building code / citing or whatever.
Why don't we let Rachel type up the report? That seems pretty easy, right, Rachel?
I guess.
Okay, so Rachel handles the report. Sean handles the data. Marcus, how about you come up with interview questions with our community members?
I thought I was doing the needs assessment.
Well, yeah, but it's Detroit. You'd probably know it better than we would.
Well, I'm from Maryland, so...
Yeah, but you know what she means, dude.
And Michelle, we'll need an email list, and if you could type up the notes, that would be great.
Right. Can we be done now?
When are we meeting again?
Let's just email.
I think we should meet in person just to go over stuff together.
Yeah, how about this weekend? One on Saturday?
I have another study group. 3 o'clock?
I just have to be gone by 4.
Whatever, 3 it is.
Man, I hate group work.
All right, let's give ETC a round of applause. So right off the bat, what are some things you noticed about the dynamics of this group? Yeah. They don't like each other. Yeah, it seems like it. Absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like each person has their own way of how they exactly want this project to go.
Yeah.
They're just burning off without even getting each other's words in completely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot of people interrupting one another. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Somewhat similar to that, there's no clear leader in the sense that they're all trying to take control of it, but they can't, they can't really decide who exactly is going to be, who exactly is the best person at deciding which tasks go where.
Absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't seem like there's a clear person who's leading the group, and it seems like there's a lot of people vying for it. Yeah. Yeah. What was that?
They're very stereotypical.
Sure. Can you give me an example that you saw in the sketch?
Well, like they just assumed that Marcus was from Detroit, and they just assumed that the girl couldn't do stuff, and they assumed that the girl in the wheelchair wasn't capable of it because she was disabled.
Yeah, it really seemed like a lot of characters are making assumptions about one another, right? Yeah, definitely. You had your hand up in front? In the row, yeah.
They all thought that each of them was like inadequate for a certain type of project that they were doing, so anything that was like, oh, I can do this, it's like, no, you're not doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lack of trust everywhere. Yeah. Tell me another thing you noticed. One last thing. Yeah.
They're all pretty selfish.
What do you mean by that? Can you give me an example?
Like the guy in the green shirt, he wanted to like just get out of there. He had his headphones in, he wasn't really paying attention.
Definitely.
And the orange shirt just wanted to like get the best grade.
absolutely, right? It seemed like a lot of the characters were just thinking about themselves in the group. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. All right, these are some really great observations, and what I want to do now is talk about them a little bit more in depth. But I forgot to mention this earlier also. We've got a camera in the back. I'm sure you noticed it when you came in. We're filming this just for archival purposes. So it's not going to go online or anything like that. It's just for our own internal use. So just a heads up. If you need to talk about it, you can talk to me after or talk to the OLs or anything like that. But yeah. What I want to do now is I want to break us up into smaller groups so we can talk about this a little more in depth. So I'm going to have the characters reintroduce themselves one more time.
Nathan,
Michelle.
Marcus, Sean.
Rachel.
Awesome. So when I break you into these individual groups, I want you to think about these two questions when talking about your characters. I want you to think about how did your character contribute to the effective functioning of the team, and how did your character inhibit the effective functioning of the team? And then just anything else that you noticed about your character as well. And here's a little picture. So what we're going to do next is we're going to have the orientation leaders stand up, and we're going to have them lead the discussions about these individual characters. But we're going to break this up a little bit differently than usual since we've got such a big group on the side and a smaller group over here. So most of this group right here on the side up until like this row right here, you're going to be talking about Nathan. And the rest of you, you're going to talk about Rachel along with that group on the side, far side over there. We're going to have ETC actors floating around too to help with discussion. So great. These first 4 rows here, you're going to be talking about Michelle. And then this whole back section, we're going to break you in half this way. So the back left, you're going to talk about Marcus. And the back right, you're going to be talking about Sean. So we'll give you a couple minutes, and then we're going to share out to the large group. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, y'all. We're going to bring it back towards the front again. It sounds like you're having some really great conversations. So what I want to do now is talk to you individually about what you noticed from the characters. So what we're going to do is start with the Nathan group. And yeah, tell me some things you noticed about Nathan. Really putting you on the spot, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So he made that creepy comment to Michelle, right? How do you think that made Michelle feel in the group? Yeah, super uncomfortable, right? Absolutely. That's great. Thank you. Well, tell me another thing you noticed about Nathan. What did he do well? Yeah.
He was initially trying to have fun with the project. He's like, we could have a good time on this and we could really collaborate. But then as soon as he got shot down, he just kind of gave up.
Definitely, right? So he seemed really excited about the project to start. Absolutely. And I think that makes a big deal. When someone comes in and they're excited about something, it gets me a little more excited too. Yeah, and you said that he lost his enthusiasm after that, after he got shot down? Yeah, absolutely. Did he do anything that made it, what did he do that made it seem like he lost his enthusiasm? Yeah, definitely, right? So his body language totally communicated that he was not present, right? With his headphones and the leaning away from the table. And I think that has an impact too on how group dynamics work also. That's great. Tell me another thing about Nathan. This is open to the whole floor as well. Anyone wants to add? What's another thing he did poorly? Yeah. Sure, can you give me an example or be a little specific?
Well, I mean, I forget what it was. They started assigning tasks, and then he took over and then said, no, we should do this instead.
Yeah, definitely, right? So at the end, he started just telling people what they were going to do, despite whether they wanted to do it or not, right? Yeah, absolutely. And that can be a negative thing, totally. That's great. Tell me another thing about Nathan. Yeah.
His organization skills were pretty bad.
Yeah, definitely, right? So he didn't have a copy of the project description or he couldn't find it. Yeah, definitely. He was flipping through all these papers. Do you think that affected how the group treated him? Yeah. And has that happened to y'all in real life too? You know, people show up and they haven't read the project description or they don't have it. Does that affect how you think their commitment to the project? Yeah, it's a normal human reaction, totally. Tell me one last thing about Nathan. Yeah.
One thing is he mentioned that he had done like a summer project, so he was kind of trying to like bring in that information that could be really useful to the group.
Definitely. Yeah, but the group didn't seem like they wanted to use that information. But yeah, he was the only one that had previous experience. That's great. Does it seem like Nathan was there for the process or the product? Yeah, probably. He said he wanted to have a good time, right? Definitely. Did it seem like other characters had a different idea of how they wanted the project to go? Yeah, for sure. And that definitely could have had an effect on how they interacted with each other. So that's great. Let's move on to the Michelle group. That's these first 4 rows. What are some things you noticed about Michelle? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. She came in excited about the project. That's great. What's another thing? Yeah.
She like volunteered to do like the data analysis. She was like willing to work with that and try something.
Yeah, that's really great. She knew what she wanted to work on, right? That's a big thing. Do we know what anybody else really wanted to do? A couple. But yeah, it was really great that she came up and said what she wanted to do. Yeah. Tell me another thing about Michelle. Yeah.
Kept like trying to get the group organized and like assign tasks, but everyone kept like shooting her down, which can be frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. And what did she do when people kept shooting her down? Did she change her attitude or did she just keep doing it?
No, she kind of changed her attitude, and at the end she was like, I hate group work.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And has that happened to anyone before? You're in a group and people just keep shooting your ideas down? Raise your hand if you've been in a situation like that. I totally have. Yeah. And that totally affects how you want to interact in the group. Yeah. Tell me another thing about Michelle.
So she sort of came into the group almost expecting to be the leader of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like the group hadn't elected her for that position or anything. But she sort of, I don't know if it was just her personality or something, but it was just very in your face. I'm like, okay, let's get this done my way or the highway.
Yeah, it really seemed like she was pretty uncompromising. That's really great. Thank you for bringing that up. What's another thing that she maybe could have done better? Yeah.
She kept interrupting Rachel a lot.
Yeah, that's a big one, right? She interrupted her so much. Absolutely. Thank you. That's great. Tell me another thing about Michelle. What was that? Back there? Yeah, I have really good ears. Super great. Okay, let's get one last comment about Michelle. Yeah.
There was a kind of weird situation between Michelle and Nathan about the laptop, where she kind of might have brought up a sore point. Because Nathan had an older, she asked why he didn't have the laptop.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think that might have been Sean that asked that. But yeah, absolutely. Michelle seemed like, no, but it seemed like Michelle was really, she knew Nathan before and she didn't really like him. And she definitely contributed to maybe making him feel a little unwelcome in the group. So thank you. Yeah, that's great. These are great. Let's move on to Marcus. That's this back section. Yeah.
Marcus, well, he was really prepared and he seemed really organized. He made some really bad assumptions about the entire other group from right from the beginning. Michelle, for example, she just wanted to make sure they were on the same page about the topic, and he was just like, you probably just aren't prepared. You probably have to read it. I don't have time for this.
Yeah, that's great. So there are a lot of things in that. That was really great. Thank you for bringing all those up. So he seemed like he was there for the project, right? But yeah, go for it.
I think you try to be the leader of the group at the beginning there, and instead of being leader and asking what the skills were and using them effectively and just like figuring out what group that they had individually, he made assumptions and tried to dictate things, which wasn't helpful for the group.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. That was awesome. That was a really great comment. Yeah.
He was pretty close-minded and unforgiving of like any like mistakes or anything that the rest of the group made.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that I think that really contributed to the group dynamic as well. That's great. Tell me another thing about Marcus. This is open to the whole floor as well. Yeah.
I kind of felt like he started the whole attitude because like he came into it, and when Michelle came in, like he kind of set that tone. So especially like when you're the first people there, you kind of set the tone, and he didn't really do a good job at that.
Yeah, that's really great, right? So he didn't shake Michelle's hand. And that's such a small thing, but I think that it had a great impact, right? So Michelle came in excited about the project, and then, yeah, go for it.
Especially since he very happily shook Sean's hand.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Absolutely. So do you think that affected how Michelle felt in the group with the rest of them? Yeah, totally. Tell me another thing about Marcus. Give me one last comment about him. Yeah.
Like, I'm the opposite of Nathan. He was really organized and ready to work, but he, like, also wasn't willing to share his ideas with the rest of the group and was
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Have we ever been that person? Have we ever been the Marcus in the group? Raise your hand if you've ever felt like you were the Marcus in the group. Yeah, where you do your fair share. You do your work and you don't really trust everyone to do theirs. Yeah, definitely. Did it seem like Marcus was more process or product? Yeah, definitely. Let's move on to Sean. That's this area back here. Tell me about Sean. Yeah.
He had like no expectations for himself and didn't really contribute anything.
Okay. Can you be a little more specific? Do you have any examples? I know it's hard to get examples of not contributing, but.
Like when they would ask him to do something, he would just kind of shy away from it. He didn't say like, "This is what I'm good at," or like, "This is what I can do to help."
Sure. It seemed like he wasn't very confrontational, right? Was that a good thing or a bad thing for the group? Bad, sure. You had your hand up?
Yeah, well, mine is, like, even though he wasn't, like, directly contributing, but when they put him in the, like, leadership position, he didn't try to push it away either. That he didn't say, oh, no, I'm not doing that, you guys need to take over from it. Yes.
Okay. And do you think that was good or bad for the group?
It was a little bit, because at least he wasn't gonna make others take the responsibility.
Sure. Yeah, that's really great, right? So he wasn't confrontational, and that can be both good and bad, right? So he didn't say, he didn't really speak up when he didn't want to do things, but he also didn't make a big deal out of it to the big group either. That's great. Thank you so much, both of you, for those ideas. Tell me another thing about Sean. Yeah.
Basically, in like our little section, we were talking about like what we could, if we were in this group, what would we like say to Sean, or like what would we do?
Yeah.
And we were saying like, maybe pull him aside and like say, do people in the group trust you and like see you as kind of that leadership thing? You can, if you really try, you can take that initiative and take the group to wherever we need to go, and kind of like nudge him forward in that direction.
Okay.
Take that position.
Yeah, so it really seemed like Sean had a chance to be the leader in this group, and it doesn't really seem like he took it, but he absolutely had a chance to be one. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. This is open to the whole floor. Yeah.
He was discriminating against Rachel, like trying to give her like the easy task.
Yeah, it seemed like he was giving a lot of focus to Rachel, right? And maybe making some assumptions about her abilities too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He didn't really hold like the whole group to the same standards because Rachel was late, and he was like, "Oh, it's late. It's okay that you're late because you're in a wheelchair." And then Nathan showed up late, and they all like really put him down about that.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. That's a really great observation. Why was Rachel late?
She said she was watching TV or something.
Yeah, Game of Thrones, right? Is that a valid excuse to be late? Okay, sure. Netflix, y'all, that's a big problem, right? You have like 7 seconds in between episodes. I know, I feel that all the time, right? But do we know why Nathan was late? No. So yeah, that's a really great observation. Thank you. Give me one last comment about Sean. Yeah, well actually we'll do these two. Yeah, so you start.
The whole group kind of made him subject to the smart Asian stereotype.
Okay, yeah, it seemed like, that's great. Yeah, it seemed like a lot of the characters were, making assumptions about Sean's abilities, right? Yeah. Did you have this, were you going to say the same thing?
I think it was less of like Sean, like not shying away from power, and less more of like him being like knowing that they're playing the race card on him, and him being like, don't assume anything.
Hey, that's really great. Yeah, I really like that comment. So if y'all didn't hear, it seemed to you that Sean was less shying away from power and more feeling uncomfortable because it seemed like the other characters were making assumptions, maybe because of his race or maybe because of like perceived physical appearance and stuff like that. Yeah, that's really great. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the big Rachel group. Tell me some things you noticed about Rachel. Yeah.
She sort of like, she wouldn't stick up for herself when she got all the heat about being in the wheelchair. She was like, yeah.
Okay, so you think she could have, you think there was some space where she should have stuck up for herself more. Okay, does anyone think differently or have another idea they want to add to that? Yeah.
She was prepared, and so she came with an extra copy of the project to give to someone who wasn't.
Yeah, absolutely. She had Nathan's back, right? She gave him that extra copy. That's great. Yeah.
She definitely came in, wanting to work on the project, with wanting to put the effort in to get it done.
Yeah, she was excited about it too. Did it seem like she left excited? Does it seem like there was any character that left this project excited? No, definitely. But that was great, yeah. Tell me another comment about Rachel. This is open again to the whole floor. Yeah.
He had a pretty like positive
Definitely. Yeah, and I think that that's important in a group. I think that makes a lot of difference. That's really great. You had your hand up. Yeah.
She assumed that Marcus was from Detroit.
She made the Marcus comment, right? Yeah, absolutely. How do you think that made Marcus feel? Super uncomfortable, right? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. Tell me one last thing about Rachel.
She initially was late, and that was kind of like her mistake, but it seemed like after that she did try to put in a lot of effort to make up for that initial mistake and kind of gain the trust back with the group or whatever.
Yeah, that's really great. Did it seem like the rest of the group treated Rachel differently because she was late? No, not really, but did they do that to Nathan? Yeah, for sure. That's a great thing to think about. Thank you for bringing that up. Awesome. So these are some really great comments. And what I want to do now is I want to hear from our characters and see how they were experiencing the group project. So we can see where our observations lined up or maybe differed a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start from the last line of the first sketch.
Man, I hate group work.
Okay, hold up. I know it may seem like you know what's going on in this group, but you guys are smarter than that. So let's consider this. Let's consider that we each have a lens. And it is through this lens that we notice all interactions around us.
Our lens affect what we notice and what we don't notice.
Our lens is constructed by our identities and our experiences.
Our lens affects how we understand each other.
Our lens is how we see things.
How I see it? Let me tell you how I see this group.
Yeah, but it's Detroit.
Does anyone have another copy?
I've always wanted to get more experience.
I'd be fine with a B.
Of course you got in. They had to fill a diversity quota, right?
Okay, that last one didn't come from this group, but I've heard it before, and it's something I think about all the time. I always feel like I have this tremendous pressure to prove myself, so yeah, I get nervous about getting the best grade possible. And I bet everyone left that group thinking that I was just some huge jerk who wanted to control everything, but listen, I've been burned before. I can't afford to risk a lower grade. I have to maintain a good GPA. And I'm not going to let anyone mess that up for me. Not Nathan, who doesn't even seem to care about the assignment, or Michelle, who didn't even read it, and then Sean, who just won't take the lead. I think group work is about sorting out the leaders and getting the best grade possible. It's just how I see it.
How I see it?
I like it when you put your hair back like that.
I can catch you up later if you don't understand.
If you could take notes, that would be great.
Maybe you should let someone else handle it. I mean, it's got to be good.
I'm really frustrated. Do you all think this group was working? First there's Marcus, who's just so into himself, he has to control everything. And then Rachel, like myself, got assigned note-taking and writing, like we were secretaries or something. And then creep-tastic Nathan, who's been hitting on me since the beginning of the course, just solidified my desire to get out of there. At least there's Sean, but I feel like we're so focused on the grade, we're missing the point. Isn't group work supposed to be about people coming together, processing, and learning new things? Oh, and P.S., I do have experience with data. I just said I wanted more. That's just how I see it.
So Sean can handle the data.
It'll probably be a piece of cake for you, right, Sean?
What do you think we should do, Sean?
Why does everyone assume that I know what I'm doing? I'm under a lot of pressure here. I consider myself a smart guy, but so are a lot of people here. And as a first-year student, I still mess up. A lot. But I would never tell my group members that. Did you hear some of that stuff? Apparently I'm the all-knowing Asian here to save us all. I mean, no disrespect to my fellow Asians. We are pretty awesome, but why did they give me the data part of the project? I've never done any data work before, and Michelle seemed like she really wanted to do it. Not all Asians have superior math skills. Now I feel like I have to do this part perfectly. I know no one is doing this on purpose, and I could have said something, but I just felt uncomfortable. And then Nathan guy, man, I don't even know what he's doing here. That guy's a mess. Isn't group work supposed to be about learning to work with people? Anyway, that's just how I see it.
You're late.
Why don't you just get a laptop, dude?
If you don't take this seriously, then just forget it, okay?
Man, I'm so over this. I'm paying my own way through college, okay? So this morning, on one of my 2 jobs, the guy who's supposed to relieve me is late, which means I'm late. Like, barely. And the first thing that I get is grief about it. And yeah, I didn't have time to look over the assignment because, like I said, it's hard enough balancing work and classes. And it's not that I hate trees. I just hate $2,000 laptops I can't afford. And I'll admit, I checked out for a second there, but I honestly thought that I was the only person with any previous experience with this project, but no one else seemed to think I had anything to contribute. I think group work should be about utilizing the strength in the group to get the project done. Now I just want to pass this class so I don't have to take it again. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Do you need anything? A copy of the project description? A pencil?
Let's get working on this.
Why don't we let Rachel type up the report? That seems pretty easy, right?
Oh, hey, remember me? Yeah, it's okay. I kind of disappeared at the end there. Maybe my giant wheelchair got in the way. I'm kidding. Sort of. I mean, poor Sean. I know he was just trying to be nice, but like, I got this. I came to the meeting with my project description, and if you noticed extra copies, I had a pencil. Just because I use a wheelchair doesn't mean I'm less capable or less smart or can handle less. In fact, I'm so the opposite. I'm incredibly organized. I color code my Google Calendar, and multi-packs of highlighters make me ridiculously happy. This group was a mess, and I really think they could have used my help. I didn't need the easy part, and honestly, they shouldn't have let me off the hook for being late if they were going to get all over Nathan. I really think this group could have used my skills in planning and organization and goal setting. Isn't that what group work is anyway, a collective goal being realized? That's just how I see it.
All right, let's give ETC another round of applause. Yeah, ETC, yeah. Okay, so what are some things you learned from the sketch, and what changed, if anything, for you? Yeah.
Well, our view of Nathan changed when we learned why he was late. Like, it wasn't even his fault, but everyone assumed that he was just slacking.
Yeah, absolutely. You think that would have changed the perspective of the other teammates if they knew he was coming late from work? Yeah, for sure. What's another thing you learned or noticed? Yeah.
I definitely was not aware of Marcus's perception of how race affects him in college. And so, had I been in that group, I certainly would not have been thinking about that when I was listening to his comments.
That's awesome. Thanks so much. That's really great. Yeah.
Everyone expects sympathy, but doesn't give any.
Say that one more time, sorry.
Everyone expects sympathy, but doesn't give any.
Yeah, definitely. So it seemed like a lot of the characters were talking about how they were affected, but not really how they were affecting each other. Yeah.
Actually, question for Nathan is why you didn't give a reason for why it was late like Rachel did, but for Nathan, like, he had a second job and the person who came to relieve him was late. Why didn't he tell that to the rest of the group? Like, that's...
Yeah.
Like, Sean was unconfrontational, but Nathan didn't seem like the kind of person who would just be like, oh, okay.
Sure. Well, absolutely. That's a really great question that you bring up, right? And he definitely had some space where he could have brought that up, right? But I know maybe he wasn't comfortable saying it, maybe he didn't feel comfortable telling everyone that he had to work a couple jobs or was paying his own way, stuff like that. But that's really great. It would have changed how they treated him in the group, definitely. That's great to keep in mind. Tell me another thing. Yeah.
Michelle actually had experience with data and stuff, and she knew how to do it, but she just kind of wanted to further her skills with it, and everyone else just thought it was she didn't know how to do it or anything, but she was really just trying to help herself more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big one. Yeah.
Everybody had a reason as to why they were so tense or why they wanted the group to take the direction that they thought was best, and that was kind of why there was so much kind of
Yeah, that's really great, right? So they all had reasons why they were acting the way they were acting, right? They weren't just doing it to be mean. Yeah.
I think going off of what they said about Nathan and why didn't he say something about it, I think seeing how Sean treated Rachel because she was disabled or had a disadvantage, I think that may have made Nathan not want to say something because they may have looked at him differently or may have thought that he also had a disability or something.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. That's really great. Let's get one last comment. Yeah.
I think that since all the people were talking about Nathan before he even arrived, we as an audience kind of made assumptions about him without even seeing him, and then that affected our answers when we were talking about him later on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great. Definitely. I think so too. That was great. All right, so do you think that if all of these characters had heard these monologues, that would have changed how they treated each other in the group? Yeah, absolutely. So what I want to talk about is, how this comes back to effective collaboration and group interaction, right? So the first piece of this is this self-awareness piece, right? So the characters were all talking about how they have their individual lenses that are made up of their cultures, their backgrounds, and their social identities. And it affects how they interact with one another. It affects what they notice and what they don't notice. And a big piece of this group collaboration is realizing that we all have lenses too, right? So we all have things that are, made up of our past experiences, made of these different identities that we hold that affect what we, how we treat each other and how we see group situations, right? And so something might happen that has something to do with an identity that I hold, and I'll notice it right away because it falls right in my lens, right? But then something else might happen that doesn't have anything to do with my past experiences, and I just won't notice it, and it falls right outside of my lens. But what I want to encourage us to do today is to start widening that lens and noticing things even if they don't directly affect us. So I'll give a couple examples to make this a little more concrete. So if I were to have grown up in a financially stable household, always able to pay for my school and my books and my technology, I might look at a person like Nathan coming into the group and coming in late without the project description read or without a laptop, and I might just think that he wasn't committed to the project, right? I might not even consider that he's working a couple jobs or he can't afford a laptop because that's not an experience that I've ever shared, and it didn't fall in my lens, right? You with me so far? Great. Okay, I'll give you another example from my everyday life. About a month and a half ago, I went to New York City with my boyfriend, and the plane was really late coming in. So we were walking to the hotel, and it was really late at night. And I had never been to New York City before, and we were walking on a street that didn't have a lot of lights on it. And because of my identity as a woman, I was really concerned about my personal safety. So I was doing a lot of scanning the streets. I had my keys between my fingers. I was walking fast, trying to get to our hotel. And my boyfriend looked at me and he was like, "What are you doing? Why do you have your keys like that?" Because it had never occurred to him, right? He didn't share that same identity as me, and so he wasn't able to understand, or he didn't notice, his own personal safety as much as I did. Does that make sense? You all with me? Yeah? Great. Okay, what I want to do now, I want to take a minute, wherever you are, stand if you want to. Let's just take a second and stretch. It's been a long day. Just stretch. We're going to take a minute and breathe. Okay. All right, great. Let's have a seat again and keep talking. All right, so are you all with me on this lens conversation? Does that make sense? If it doesn't, I can give another example. But let me know, are you with me? Yes? No? Yes? Great. Okay, then here's what I want to do now. I want to take a few minutes, and I want us to talk about our own lenses, all right? So I want you to talk to the person that you turned to earlier and think about what your lens is made up of, right? What identities do you hold that affect what you notice and what you don't notice? Take a couple of minutes, and then we can share out to the large group. All right? Go ahead. Did my lenses make sense today?
You always do great.
All right, we just have a quieter group, so. Yeah. Okay, y'all, we're going to bring it back to the front again, just to make sure we've got enough time to keep talking. So before we share, I want you all to keep in mind, if you raise your hand to share, just make sure you talk about only what you shared and not what your partner shared with you, because they might be comfortable talking to you, but maybe don't want the whole group to hear. All right? So does anyone want to talk about what their lens is made up of? Yeah.
So I grew up in a household that had two lesbian mothers.
Mm-hmm.
Very queer identified household. So a lot of times, like when people presenting in groups and things, or there's a test and they have to fill out information on like parents and guardians and things.
Yeah.
It always says mother and father, and it doesn't feel inclusive of my family or understanding of my family.
Yeah.
And lately I've seen a lot of good things, and actually specifically you done for it. Like on the survey we took, it said like gender of your parents and guardians, there's an entire question just for that.
Yeah.
So things like that like really stand out to me. That's a good thing.
That's so great. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's an awesome example. Thank you. Yeah, go for it.
I didn't grow up with like a super wealthy house or anything, and like losing houses and having to like move around, like living for like less than a year and having to like just uproot your life and like move and everything, and like learning to like work for things yourself. Some people don't understand that. Like you like learn to like value like your work and like have to budget your own money and stuff. And some
Yeah.
people like don't understand that it's like money's expendable to them, and they just like can use their money or their parents' money however they want. So like that is definitely like different from person to person.
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you so much. That's an awesome example too. We're going to take one more. Yeah.
I really like empathize with Marcus's character being, like having to prove yourself, because I went here not the best ACT scores, like test things, but I am really, really good at like communicating with people and working with other people like in groups. So when I hear like I don't go to 9/11 without getting called a terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
Over, just learning how to deal with people who look at you lower and knowing that you are better than what they say you are.
That's really great. Thank you so much. That's incredible. Thank you so much to the three of you for your examples. They were incredible, and I really appreciate them. So thank you very much. I want to talk about how this comes back to group collaboration now. So the next time that you're in a group and you start to face these challenges, which you're going to, that will happen, right? I want to challenge you to think back on this session and try to widen that lens and realize that people might be experiencing the situation differently than you and potentially in harmful manners, all right? So repeat after me. Stop. Stop. Breathe. Breathe. Widen my lens. Widen my lens. Great, you can stop repeating after me. What I want to talk about now is effective collaboration strategies, all right? So we've talked about lenses, and we've talked about how they affect what we notice and don't notice and how we collaborate with people. Now I want to talk about what you can do, when you're in a group. So when you get in a group, learn what the others would like to get out of being on that team. So we saw from the sketches that everyone had a different idea of what teamwork should be like, right? So have a conversation about it. Be open to new ideas and diverse viewpoints. People aren't going to think the same as you, all right? And reach out. Don't be afraid of these differences. Get to know people on an individual level, and you'll start to find some common ground. Communicate respectfully. We saw that the group had a lot of trouble with this as well, right? So when you face a problem, try to think of it as, what can we learn, rather than who is to blame, all right? And lastly, demonstrate support for one another. We've been doing this all session. ETC does this all the time. We snap. So when someone says something we agree with, we snap. When someone says something that challenges our way of thinking, we snap. And it doesn't always have to be snaps, but I think that demonstrating support for one another, even when they have an idea that challenges yours, is really important. So what I want to do now is bring ETC back up one last time. We've talked about lenses. We've talked about collaboration strategies. Now I want to see what this looks and sounds like. So we're going to flip the script and some of the harmful stuff that was said during the sketch. So something like this
We will need an email list and for you to take notes.
could turn into something like this.
I think it'll be helpful if we have a copy of the notes and an email list. Anyone want to type that up?
So do you see the difference? It's really small, right? But it totally changes whether someone feels respected and valued in a group versus whether they feel like they've been told what to do. Here's another example.
If anyone feels uncomfortable, they should just speak up or suck it up.
All right, this is a really great time where we can talk about if someone is in a group and they feel like they are being heard and respected, but someone else maybe isn't, they could be a really great ally. So instead of telling the person that isn't being heard to suck it up or speak up, they could speak out for them, and they could say something like this.
Hold on, I don't think everyone in this group is being heard. In my experience, when people are valued and welcomed, this whole collaboration stuff works a lot better.
So you might not say it as eloquently as Sean did, But this is a great thing to think about, right? So what's another way that we could say that? If we're being respected in a group and heard, what's another way we can bring someone else in? Yeah.
Just ask them directly for their thoughts on something that was brought up.
Yeah, absolutely. Just directly bring them in. Yeah, does anyone else have another example? Yeah.
You say, hey, what do you have to say?
Absolutely. It's so simple, right? That's great. Thank you. Okay, let's do one more together. Here's another line from the sketch.
Yeah, but it's Detroit. You'd probably know it better than we would.
Okay, so we heard you all reacting during the sketch, right? Which is great. That's a great first step. You noticed it. You knew what she said was not appropriate, right? So we know this group needs to go to Detroit, and we know that they need to talk to community partners there. What's a way we can bring that up? Yeah, you go for it. Amazing, yes. Does anyone know Detroit? Do a skills assessment. Yeah. Perfect. Y'all are perfect. Great. Okay, so I know when you come to U of M, you're really going to see that what we value here is this effective group collaboration, right? So you're also going to find that U of M students really reject that when they see the opposite. So here's what I mean. This is something that happened in a U of M classroom.
All I'm saying is you don't see a lot of chicks in engineering. And engineering has a lot of hard classes. I just don't think it's a coincidence.
Here's how the rest of the class responded.
Dude, nobody wants to work with you. Like,
man, I'm not being your partner.
really?
So we had a really hard time finding a partner after that, all right? Thank you so much, ETC. So I know you're going to find when you come to U of M, this is what we do here, all right? We really, really value this positive, respectful group collaboration. And collaboration is everywhere, all right? You're going to see it everywhere. And you've already seen it at orientation. Let's give it up for Team 2. They're amazing. We love them. Yeah. UMETC and Team 2, we came from all over campus. We didn't know each other before we started working together this summer, and we've had to use a lot of these group collaboration strategies, right? So before we go, I want you to tell me a couple things that you're going to take away. What are some things you're going to remember the next time you're in a group? Yeah.
Stay open-minded and be like considerate of what other people are experiencing.
Yes. Go for it.
Just like using your brain to like think about like why things are happening. Like
Yeah. Absolutely. That's great. Tell me another thing you're going to remember. Yes.
Maybe try to rearrange how you're asking someone something more respectfully.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Tell me one more thing. Yes.
Widen your lens.
Widen your lens. Yes. That's amazing. Say it after me. Widen your lens. Widen your lens. Thank you. I like that you added the arms. It's very important. All right. So we've made some really great steps today, and we're going to see you again in the fall for our Change It Up workshops where we talk about bystander intervention.